Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Fyter Fest Week 1, Night 1 from Savannah, Georgia. To open the show, we had Wardlow defending against Orange Cassidy, and Orange looks to stun Wardlow and take the title before Wardlow can even really have a reign. Orange hits his usual antics as the best friends say they have decided they are going to cheat. They do that right away. They get caught and thrown out, but not before Wardlow literally rips the pockets out of Orange Cassidy. Orange tries to hit the Orange Punch, but Wardlow catches him and Orange has to keep moving. That is the theme of this match. Orange just hit and run. He doesn't. That's Orange for you. Orange tries to keep his distance and hit where he can. It doesn't work though, as Wardlow eventually grabs hold of Orange. He hits the F10 and Orange actually kicks out. He's the first person in AEW to ever do so. He has a great flurry and Wardlow then hits the powerbomb and he gets the win. He also gives Orange his respect after the match and then leaves. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great, and my standout performer of the match goes to Orange Cassidy. He absolutely killed it. Chris Jericho then comes to the ring, and he's dressed in more of his heel WWE gimmick. A nice suit with the tight puckered lips, and yeah, he calls himself the living legend, and Eddie Kingston's superior says Eddie is not a liar, but he's confused. Eddie hasn't been doing anything for his friends. He's been a curse. Says he's destroyed all his friends because they are Eddie's friends. Talks about the barbed wire everywhere match challenge and says that he won the first ever Canadian barbed wire match when he was 22 and he enjoyed it. He's every bit as sadistic as Eddie Kingston and will prove it next week when Eddie faces the Painmaker. Says this will be the final battle in their saga and will defeat Eddie once again. And he'll never be on Jericho's level. Says he will give Eddie Kingston blood because Eddie is not a liar, but a loser. For WTR scale, I gave that a great. Eddie Kingston responds and he basically just says the same sort of stuff he's been saying all week, all about a few months. He's just going to make Jericho bleed and pay for everything. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Jon Moxley takes on Konosuke Takeshita in an interim AEW World Championship Eliminator match. Jon Moxley actually asked for this match because he was impressed by Konosuke, and I too was in fact impressed by him, and it's the reason I started the standout performer of the match part of these segments. They stand toe-to-toe and start to feel each other out. Konosuke stands right in the middle of the ring exchanging shots, and he really shows just why the interim world champion wanted this match. Konosuke gets the better of Moxley on the apron and takes control on the outside, but eats a big boot on the way back in the ring. Moxley makes Konosuke pay on the outside and cuts him wide open. Takeshita, though, hits a massive clothesline and springs back to life with a big boot of his own. They go back and forth some more, and Moxley gets the knees up as Konosuke goes for a frog splash. He locks in an armbar and Takeshita fights to the ropes. He hits a big tope and then dumps Moxley back inside and hits a frog splash for a near fall. Moxley comes back and looks to end it again, but both men hit their big moves, and Moxley eventually does end it with the Death Rider and the Bulldog Choke for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great, and the stand-up performer goes to Konosuke Takeshita. He is impressive in the ring. I can't wait to see where his career goes from here. The House of Black says they let Darby ascend to where he is now, and now Brody will get his by taking Darby's. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. I mean, it just kind of felt there. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus come out. He says he hates the Varsity Blondes and he finds them annoying. Says Brian Sr. would find Brian Jr. very average and he would be appalled by him. He turns to Griff and says that he hates him because he looks like Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus gets in the ring with Griff, and their match lasts all of about 4 moves. He choke slams Griff eventually, and he locks in what is his version of the snare trap, the tar pit, for the win. After the match, Luchasaurus lays out Pillman and then choke slams Griff through him, not once but twice on the timekeeper's table because it didn't break. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. My standout performer goes to Luchasaurus. I've been loving this heel turn. It is fantastic. JAS talks about being in the shark cage next week and say they are tired of cages and are worried about Eddie's boys not being in a cage as well. Garcia turns to Yuta and challenges him for the Death Before Dishonor, or at Death Before Dishonor for the pure title. For a WTR scale, I gave that a good. All Out is announced for Chicago. For my WTR scale, I gave that a meh because I'm a little annoyed. Chicago now has 2 major pay-per-views this year. And it's a little unfair. Especially when the rumors were that it was going to be in Toronto or another Canadian city. I mean, it's just unfortunate. Hangman talks about being disappointed, and John and Alex come in and talk about being pissed for Adam, and they challenge the House of Black to get revenge. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Claudio Castagnoli takes on Jake Hager, and somewhere Zeb Coulter is shedding a tear as his 2 boys stand toe-to-toe once again. They go back and forth at the start, absolutely battering each other. Claudio eventually is able to hit this massive spinning springboard uppercut, and he starts to roll, dumping Hager to the outside and then hitting another big uppercut. Hager then slams Claudio after he lets go of a sharpshooter and almost steals it as the JAS came down to distract Claudio and obviously caused the distraction. He goes for the ankle lock, but Claudio fights back and drops Hager on his head and then locks in the sharpshooter. He takes out Cool Hand Ange one more time and then hits a big uppercut and then the Ricola Bomb for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great, and for my standout performer of the match goes to Claudio Castagnoli. Hitting that power bomb was really, really impressive, and I mean, the guy is just insane. Hook is asked about his undefeated streak and if he should be in line for a championship. He grins and then leaves. For my WTR scale, I gave that a meh. I mean, it doesn't... Why are we still doing that? Thunder Rosa talks about her loss at the Tijuana event, I believe it was, and how she now is teamed with Toni Storm and how they are Thunderstorm. They are interrupted by Britt Baker, and she and Jamie are more than capable of fighting a Thunderstorm. They hand Tony Schiavone a sandbag and then walk off. This is obviously a shot at the fact that there were rumors that Thunder Rosa has been difficult to work with in the ring. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Serena Deeb takes on Anna Jay in what is a hometown kind of match for Anna Jay, as Deeb is on a roll for her Death Before Dishonor title match at Ring of Honor. They fight back and forth, and Anna fights out of a bunch of different locks, and she locks in the Queenslayer, and they go back and forth as Deeb is eventually able to send it outside where she wears down Jay. She's just toying with Anna now at this point, wearing her down, and Anna starts to come back, hitting a big elbow, but Deeb fights back and goes to plant Anna, but she dumps her down, and they just kind of brawl some more. Anna then hits a big heel kick, but Deeb once again stops Anna, but from out of nowhere, Anna locks in the Queenslayer, and Deeb fights out and locks in the Serenity Lock, and that gets the win. After the match, Deeb won't let up, and Mercedes Martinez comes down to make the save. For my WTR scale, I gave it all a good. It was very well done. And for my standout performer of the match goes to Anna Jay. She did very well in what was a tall task for her. Jade Cargill and the baddies talk. They say they are not worried about their upcoming match, but they are arguing. Stokely defends himself and then has just kind of deflects and says Athena and Chris are no challenge to them. For my WTR scale, I gave that a meh. And for Jay Lethal, he comes out and says he's going to take the TV title from Joe. He'll embarrass Joe at Death Before Dishonor. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. It's basically just the same stuff he's been saying. Anna Jay is hurt, and Ty Conti comes in, and they start to kind of butt heads. Ty says Anna needs to make better choices for her career, and I am very intrigued by this. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. We then get our main event of the evening, the Young Bucks taking on, or I guess defending against Swerve in Our Glory and Team Taz. The Bucks laid this challenge down, and it's kind of interesting that FTR is not anywhere in this match. I hope that the eventual plan is Bucks versus FTR all out for all of the gold. This match is going to be nuts. The Bucks have their hands full tonight for sure. Brandon Cutler is finally back, so that should help. Matt and Lee start out, and they exchange big kicks, and Matt gets right out as he is a little intimidated. The action picks up from there with Nick and Swerve absolutely showing off. But it is just a mile a minute. We are basically just all three teams are trying to finish it just as quick as they can. The Bucks are staying alive as best as they can, and they lay out everyone with massive super kicks. The ref gets taken out, and they grab their belts and try to cheat. But they get laid out, and Swerve looks to cheat, but then Matt hits a low blow and lays out everyone once again with the belt, but it's still not enough. The Bucks then try and end it once again, but can't. Lee and Swerve double team Matt only for a near fall. Lee then tosses the Bucks out, and Swerve dives on everyone. Lee then tackles Starks and dives out side, and then Swerve hits the Swerve Stomp, and they get the win. We have new AEW Tag Team Champions, Swerve in Our Glory. For my WTR scale, I gave that an epic. It was fan-fucking-tastic. My standout performers of the match goes to Swerve and Lee. Absolutely fantastic. My overall for the show is a great. It was just a freaking awesome show, top to bottom. The segment of the night goes to Jericho, laying down the challenge with the Painmaker for Eddie Kingston. And the match of the night goes to the main event. I was not expecting that. The performers of the night goes to Lee and Swerve. They absolutely killed it, and congrats to them becoming the new champions. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.